Good day, Ma'am Davalim Ambahen, our instructor for these subjects, which is the Education for Sustainable Development. By the way, I am Kristen Jade Sisipata from Group 10, and I am assigned to tackle the first and second video, and I am the second reporter. And the title of my first video it is the Megacities Reflect Growing Urbanization Trend by PBS News R, and the second video is all about urbanization by Hans Rosling. But first, let us tackle the first video, which is entitled The Megacities Reflect Growing Urbanization by PBS News R's. So PBS News R is an American evening television news program broadcast on over 350 PBS member stations. So, this first video from PBS News R's is entitled Megacities Reflect Growing Urbanization but Poverty Still Rampant. So, it focuses on the urbanization side. So, it is from the capital of Bangladesh, which is the Dhaka. So the video highlights the rapid population growth in Dhaka. So according to the reporter from the video, who is Jim Lehrer, Dhaka is considered one of the most fastest growing cities in the world. With a population of 15 million, Dhaka experiences a significant influx of people from rural areas in search of economic opportunities. So the video sheds light on these challenges and perils of urbanizations in megacities like Dhaka. So when we say megacities, these are the cities with a populations of over 10 million. So as I said earlier, that Dhaka is having 15 million of people. So characteristic of megacities such as large populations, extensive transport system. So moreover, it emphasizes the prevalence of poverty and the struggles faced by the urban poor. So many migrants who move to Dhaka live in slums and face difficulties in accessing basic services such as water, electricity, and sanitation. So the video also discusses the impact of rapid urbanization on infrastructure such as traffic congestion and environmental issues. So despite these challenges, the video acknowledges that many people still see moving to Dhaka as an opportunity for a better life. It features personal stories of individuals who have migrated to the city and found employment in industries such as garment factories. So, however, it also highlights the need for concrete steps and government intervention to improve living conditions and address the issues faced by the urban poor. So there's a story in this video. So this story was prepared by the team of Eric German and Selena Penn. So by the journalist, which is Selena Penn, she said that from the video there is a boy, which is 4-year-old boy named Shahadat. When he complained of hunger, his father had a piece of fruit to give him. This was said by Selena, and his father named Abdur. So he said that when he tells me he's hungry, I try to bring him food after work. If I can buy any food, he has to live with the hunger. So Solana Penn said that Abdur Rahim's struggle to feed his family began 3 years ago. So that's when one of the South Asia's biggest rivers, the Brahmaputra, washed away the land his family had farmed for generations. So imagine that Abdur family's his land was over there, and now it's water and it's a river. So Solana Penn said that he now drives a rented rickshaw in a town across from his former home and earns about $8 a day, so barely able to afford the rent for this windowless mud floor shack. So he's decided to move his family to Dhaka. So this is the the country's capital. So he and his wife Shafla, so it named Shafla, and he say that they will borrow the $10 they need for the trip and catch a bus within a week. So joining a wave of some 400,000 migrants who move to Dhaka every year. So on the other hand, Shafla Rahim, which is Abdur's wife, she said that I feel terrible, but we have to leave everyone we know, all our relatives and neighbors, and take our kids to an alien place. So she referred this to Dhaka, which is the Bangladesh country's capital. So Sulana Pin said that the city they're moving to is growing so fast. Each new census is quickly outdated, but local experts estimate it's now home to 15 million people. So Dhaka is perched on the leading edge of a global trend. For the first time in human history, the world has become more urban than rural. So by mid-century, some 80% of the Earth's population will live in cities. So imagine the urbanization will grow. So many of them in the exploding slums of the developing world. So for good or for ill, Dhaka is setting an example. And Solana Pin said that if you want to know what that might look like, Dhaka is among the best places to visit. So the World Bank called it the fastest growing of the world's 20 or so megacities, urban areas with populations over 10 million. So it's also one of the poorest, so urban poor. So vast slums dot every neighborhood and house at least a third of its people. So in less than 15 years, the United Nations predicts that Dhaka's populations will surpass that of Shanghai, Mexico City, or New York. Next, that is the new arrivals are often the hardest hit because of the most settled in slums. So they have no title to the land they live on and can't get legal water or electricity, so they pay 2 or 3, even 4 times official rates for pirated, unreliable connections. So as times goes on, Solana Payne said that but new migrants keep pouring in. Some belong to the Bangladesh growing middle and upper classes, who settle in the city's upscale neighborhoods. So their one family villas are quickly being transformed into apartment complexes. Yet even those who end up in slums say that moving to the city still offers the best chance for a better life. So they still want to choose to move to Dhaka. So after moving to Dhaka 2 years ago, Mahmuda Akert found work in this garment factory. She now makes 36 a month ironing shirts. So this Mahmuda is a factory worker. So he hopes to be promoted to operating a sewing machine, which pays just over $40. So Mahmuda Akert, she is a factory worker. So she said that before I couldn't eat meat once a week, not even once a month. Now I can afford meat every week, and I can buy a good fish, which is a big fish, and I can also afford all kinds of food. Before it was very difficult to buy a dress even once a year, and now I can afford a dress every month. So she was interviewed by Solana Pins. So as Solana Pin said, in the popular imagination, third world slums have been portrayed either as ladders for escaping poverty or traps where the poor get stuck. In reality, both are true, but those who climb out are quickly replaced by new migrants. So in addition, the video also discusses the need for concrete steps to improve the living conditions in megacities like Dhaka, because there are still people who live in the slums, And also, suggestions include putting control over vital services in the hands of a single municipal government that is accountable to the people it serves. However, these challenges of addressing the issues faced by the megacities are enormous and require dynamic solutions. So that's end my first video, which is all about megacities reflect growing urbanization. So now let's move on to the second video, which entitled the urbanization. So this video is presented by Hans Rosling. So the Gapminder video titled Urbanization is the second video in the Gapcast series presented by Hans Rosling. So Hans Rosling was a Swedish physician, academic, and statistician who gained international recognition for his work in data visualization and global health. So Rosling was known for his captivating and dynamic presentations, so where he used to data visualizations to communicate complex global trends and debunk common misconceptions. So in the video, it provides a brief overview of the urban challenge and showcases the development of the urbanization and economic growth over the past 40 years. So in the 4-minute video by Hans Rosling, it emphasizes the significance of understanding the urbanization trend in the world. So also understanding the implications of urbanization. So he highlights the rapid growth of cities and these challenges associated with it, such as inadequate infrastructure, housing, and services, and so on. So the video aims to shed light on the complexities of urbanization and the need for sustainable urban development. So I have here the video about the urbanization statistics by Hans Rosling to further understand the data. So let me present you the video.
How many people live in cities? Look, total world population is 6 billion. Half world is urban, 3 billion lives in cities. But out of these, 1 billion people lives in slum. About the future. In the year 2050 here, experts predict that world population growth will stop at around 9 billion people. 6 billion will live in urban area. The open question is, can slum be made history? This chart here shows you all the countries of the world. Each bubble is a country. The size of the bubble is the population. The red bubble down there is China. Now, the color of the bubbles shows the continents. You see, the green is the Americans, blue here is the African, and so on. Now, what we are showing here on this axis is the percent urban population of the total population. China here is below 20%, and here it's 60%, and so on. It's easy to understand. On this axis down here, I show economic level of the country. Gross domestic product per person in what is called purchasing power parity. That is the comparable value of the currency of the country. Now, let's look at the situation in the world 1963. Those countries who had the lowest economic level had very little people in the urban area, living in cities. And those countries which had best economy, they had more people living in the urban area. But there was quite a variation. Let's look which one is which. Of course, Singapore is up there. Singapore, everyone lives in a city because it's a city nation. Whereas United States had about 71% of its population living in urban areas. Now I would like to show you the change. How has the world changed from 1963, 64, 65? As we move on here, you can see China and India now having economic growth and people is moving into the urban areas. In the 80s, most of the country bubbles are moving up like this and more people live in the urban area. Look here, 2002, 2004, that's where we are today, the latest statistic available. And it's interesting to see that in the world today, the Americas, if I mark the American countries, those are the bubbles here. This is Brazil and Mexico. They're very highly urbanized. The whole of Latin America, very highly urbanized. All countries is above about 70% in urban areas. Let me show you the Arab countries in the Middle East. Also, the Arab countries are very highly urbanized, and so are the European countries. In fact, it's only the African countries where we find a low degree of urbanization together with the countries in Asia. The light blue ones here is South Asia. Those bubbles here, that is India and Bangladesh and Pakistan. Most people still live in rural areas, 2004. And even in China, look, this is China. Even in China, we have 40% in the cities and 60% still in the rural areas. So what Anna Tibaijuka means with the urban challenge, there is no doubt that the billions of people which will be added to the population in China and India, they will be added in the urban areas, in the cities. And a large part of these people living in the rural areas, they will move into the cities. We can really see on this map that what has taken place in Europe and in Latin America and in the Arab countries, that will also take place in East Asia, in South Asia, and eventually also in Africa. We are facing an enormous urban challenge, but it's also an opportunity, because in cities it's easier to provide school and health service. And also working opportunity and economic growth is there, and a healthy growth of cities can mean a healthy economic growth for rural areas.
And that's end my topics. So the first topic, which is all about the megacities reflect growing urbanization by PBS News R, and the second video is all about the urbanization by Hans Rosling. And I hope you're all good, and thank you for listening, and God bless everyone.